What's up, guys? Welcome to ABL, A Billion Lives. Your host here, Rob, where on this channel we talk about different ideas, concepts that helps you and a billion other lives. Meaning there's a billion ways to help a billion lives. The point of this is to figure out what we can discuss about to help you, making sure that even if you help one other life, that impact eventually grows. And today's on this specific conversation, I want to tell you guys about crypto. Now, obviously, you guys are like, man, we've heard all before. We've seen all these experts and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But I want to explain it in a very, very simple way for those who don't really understand what crypto is. Crypto is simply an umbrella of different technologies to help improve our financial and monetary system. Very simple. In other words, right now, what's the biggest thing going on? No, the internet, right? Because the internet is basically the umbrella that allows us to access technology, right? So, but what's the biggest problem with it is that how slow really is it to pay online? Like, imagine you have to pull out your credit card, type in the numbers, expiration date, this and that. Now you're thinking about, oh well, Robert, it's not really that long. It's, let's say it takes 1 minute, right? Times you're going to do that possibly at least 100 times a year. That's 100 minutes. That's almost 2 hours. Let's just say you spend 2 hours of time of simply typing in numbers, times, let's say, about 2 billion people who have access to certain levels of credit cards and debit cards and whatnot. It's a lot of time lost. That's the biggest deal. And if you want to do a significantly large transaction, it doesn't take 1 minute. It takes hours sometimes, because you need to get approvals with the banks, you need to do wires, you need to do invoices, this and that. It's slow, meaning the complete possibility and power of what the internet is available is still handicapped because of fiat. Fiat meaning traditional currency like the US dollar, the euro, the pound, etc. So in other words, the only way to make the internet more accessible for more people and to make it faster for more individuals is you have to eliminate fiat, meaning you have to eliminate traditional currencies. Because here's the biggest problem with traditional currencies: they're controlled by a certain government. And the question is, for a lot of you, how many of you really actually trust the government? Do you trust the government? Most of you are going to say no. Whether or not you support the current administration or the prior administration, you don't trust government. You do not. And the thing is, when you mix money and government, that means you're mixing business with government. Meaning what you're doing is exactly what was against democracy. Meaning they don't want to mix religion with government. This is a different thing, which is simply with money. Now with crypto, it is decentralized, meaning no one owns it. Meaning the transactional speeds are faster, meaning that everyone in the world can know about it. Everyone in the world can interact with one of it. Imagine Zimbabwe. At one point, because of inflation, $1 is equivalent to 1 trillion Zimbabwean dollars. It's not fair for them, because for them to be able to get ahead in life means like they have to have trillions and trillions and quadrillions of dollars. You could be a quadrillionaire just with $100 or no, $1,000. You're a quadrillionaire in Zimbabwe. That's not fair for them. And why is that continuing happening? Because countries like this one keeps printing out money, making it unfair and for other people around the world. That's why you have the United Nations coming together saying, hey, look, US, you're doing something really fucked up and it's not fair for the rest of the countries around the world, because there's no levels of competitions. You monopolize all the resources and everything and the dollar, and we don't agree with that, because you're creating so much inflation. Inflation has already doubled since the start of the pandemic. So every $1,000 right now, you're gonna lose $42 just for keeping it with Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, all these old financial systems, when you can earn 8 to 16% by keeping the US digital dollar on their crypto platform. Just simply changing it means you're earning money. And that's the biggest thing. There's a change of financial systems every 100 years. So we're just in the midst of it. People just don't really understand it. Really don't. But the thing is, if you don't start to learn about it and at least take a small risk, it's a bigger risk not to take a risk within it. Because if the United Nations is saying we're going to take the US dollar off of the global currency and put it for some type of crypto, which maybe Bitcoin, maybe something else, I have no idea what it's going to be. But there's already discussions and they're already going to meet up with it. It's called Bretton Woods 2.0. When that happens, the whole world is going to change and evolve drastically. Right now, it's the beginning stages and changing very quickly. But those of you who are not really interpreting and understanding the grand magnitude of what crypto is, you're going to lose. Because, for example, people were saying like, well, one day Bitcoin's be worth $5 million, right? $5 million times the current circulation of what it may be at the time, which would probably be around 20 million coins, I would say. That is 12 zeros. That is, that is $1 quadrillion. Quadrillion, if that's what's after trillion. Meaning we can almost pay off all the debts off of the derivatives market. But because that's so many zeros, 1 times 10 to the 12th power, we're not going to think in dollars anymore, because we're going to think in maybe like Bitcoin. It's like, hey, look, the global reserve right now is 100,000 Bitcoin in value, 20,000 Bitcoin, whatever it may be. Like, you're going to pay, your groceries and, with 20 XRP, whatever it might be. Like, it's going to be something like that. It's a different level of conversion. People don't necessarily understand that in this country because we never have had to experience it. In other countries, everyone thinks in dollars, meaning like converts the peso to dollars, the Zimbabwean to dollars, the euro to dollars. Everyone wants to see what your net worth is via dollar because we're the hegemon right now. But that's going to change. One reason why it's going to change is because 70% of the hash rate for Bitcoin is owned by China, meaning like, if they own a lot of Bitcoin like that, even though in our country, companies own so much Bitcoin right now that you're going to see that they're literally going to be the government. That's what it's going to be. It's a whole different type of government that we're going to experience, different type of monetary policy. It's all different rules, different everything. And because it's so different, it's so much to learn. And if you're not going to learn now, you're going to get really fucked up because one day when they sign over the UN, like, hey, we're changing the US dollar to whatever, your bank accounts, they're going to say you own, it's not going to be a dollar sign. It's going to be like a Bitcoin sign or an XRP sign or a Ethereum sign, whatever it might be. That's what's going to be. And it's going to be a whole different level of conversion. You have to learn so much different things. You're going to be so behind. And then it's like, fuck, you're not going to get rich because it's going to take you a year just to start understanding and grasping the concept. And because there's going to be so much information out there, that might take you more than you might take you a year, 2-3 years. If it takes you 3 years, it means you didn't even have time to learn about the next halving. Meaning like you're going to miss a whole nother cycle, meaning you're not going to get rich, meaning you have to wait longer when things get more and more and more expensive. And you're never going to get out the rat race. And that's a big deal because a lot of you are going to have millions and millions of dollars in US, and you're going to stay broke because we're going to experience hyperinflation in 2 years. I want to say in 2023. That's what I want to say. And from there, we're going to have a depression of some sort, whether big or small. And after that, we're going to have one of the greatest economies of all time. We may have war in between. That's going to be between 1927, I want to say, to between 1945. And from there, we're going to have one of the greatest economies ever. That's going to be much, and that's going to be started in the 50s. And history tends to repeat itself, but if you don't know your history, you're not going to be able to predict what's going to happen in the future. And crypto is simply a new step of the future. It's simply something that happens as history continues to progress. That's all. And that's what you have to learn about crypto, because this happens all the time. The change in financial systems and markets. If that is the case, meaning why aren't you learning about it? It's that important. It's the most relevant piece of information you can ever learn. Why do you think banks are going to you can start paying with like Apple Pay and Samsung Pay and things like that? Why? Because they understand when the US dollar completely is eradicated, that all they have to do is change the symbol. And now companies like Apple doesn't have to worry about getting 30 different types of currencies around the world. They can get one currency at the same speed, at the same time, to the same bank account. Makes things much faster and much more productive and more effective, meaning everything is going to prosper much more quicker. That's what makes crypto so valuable. It's speed. And those of you who aren't thinking in speed, it means it's because you don't have money. And you don't understand that money loves speed, and you need speed in order to grow. Understand me? I hope so.